Hello.
Hello, is this Kelli?
Yes, it is. Boy, are you ever punctual. It's 11 o'clock on the dot.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out today and just giving me a few minutes here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to start off and ask you about, I guess, your early career. I know you're from around these parts, born in Minneapolis. So how does somebody from these parts, the Midwest here, wind up in the big time, I guess, making movies?
Well, we didn't have a theater department, so, I mean, it's not something that you do really casually, and that's not on everyone's list, is I'm going to be an actor. I was an apprentice at the Guthrie Theater, and I just fell in love with classical theater. So I went to a conservatory school, and some of the actors that were there, it's a regional theater, so the actors come from all around. They turned me on to, and I got in, and then I was going to go back for the regular session in the fall, and I didn't have a place to live, and I didn't have any money, and couldn't get. I mean, what kind of a job are you going to get? And where are you going to live and all that? I didn't think of any of that. I just went to New York, and it was really stupid. But in retrospect, I got a soap opera. I was looking for an apartment, and the rental lady that was putting roommates together and stuff, she thought I was probably, going to be in trouble, because of course I was. And she said, well, I know I can maybe find you a roommate situation, but, how is she going to do that? She said, I do have a friend who's an agent, and she tells me that they're casting a Midwestern Lolita for a soap opera. You might want to go over and see her. So I went over and saw her, and she was really scary, but she said, do you have a picture of yourself? I had one picture. She said, why don't you run down? They're closed now, but why don't you slide your picture into the casting director's door? We'll see what happens. Well, then I got called in, and then I was scared to death, but I went in, and when you're a kid, when you're determined to do something, you just can't fail. So I ended up getting the part and calling my mother, going, Mom, I'm on TV. And that was like 2 weeks after I got to New York City. So the universe stepped in and saved my butt, because who knows what would have happened to me otherwise,
Yeah.
And then from there, I had a really good character, because she was evil, and she was a plot. She pushed the plot a lot. Her name was Kimberly, and I worked a lot because I was advancing the storyline. I was on the show a lot, and so from there, that in the rest of the industry's eyes, I went straight to being a professional actor, and I was lucky enough to not have to knock on doors and not be able to get a leg in, and I was taken very seriously, and that was a huge, huge, huge break for me. That thinking back now, I still every day I cannot believe that happened. It was just a miracle, and I'm really, really lucky. I mean, sometimes when you're an actor, you just have to, because people are great, and people are dedicated, and people have great work ethics. It doesn't necessarily, all you can do is have all those things going for you, and hope that you're in the right place at the right time. And if you are, then just keep doing what you're doing, and just remember how lucky you are, because people just, it's no reflection on how dedicated you are or how talented you are. A lot of it is, everything comes together at the right moment, and it's a cliche, but you're in the right place at the right time. And so my advice to actors is always, just keep doing what you're doing and thinking positively and putting it out there and being of assistance to other people, and your timing will come. Maybe not the way you think it's going to, because I sure didn't expect that to happen.
Sure.
I thought I was going to go to school and then come back and do regional theater in the Midwest. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. The show that you wound up on, I know, was pretty long running, too. So you kind of...
Yeah, I was on there for 3 years, and then because I was on TV and everything, people, knew who I was. I had a good agent, and I got to audition for some big projects. And, I got Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and then I came back and did the soap some more. And then after that, because people saw... And the one thing leads to another, because people who were doing Night of the Comet saw the cheerleader in Fast Times, and they needed a spirit bunny. Because my character in Night of the Comet was on the pep squad. So one thing just leads to another as long as you're out there doing what you do.
Yeah, I want to ask you about working on Fast Times. It wasn't a big part, but obviously a lot of people remember you in that. I guess were you surprised that film became the classic that it did?
I would be, except for the fact that there was a feeling around it. I can't really describe it. There was just so much excitement, and I don't really know if it was. I was excited because I'd never been to California before, and there I was on the Universal lot, or if it was just one of those things where you just felt the electricity on the set. There's something about it that seemed really magical, and I'm not sure if I was just because I was new here, but I don't think so. I think there was something about it. Like I said, it goes along with the same lines of, I'm getting like really woo-woo on you today, I guess, but right place, right time, right chemistry. When I walked on that set, I just felt like, wow, this is something. I'm not sure if it was maybe a mixture of both. I had read the book, and all of us auditioned. Well, I auditioned for Stacy, and I auditioned all day long, one day in New York, with Phoebe Cates and Brian Backer, reading for Stacy. So, much to my surprise, they called me up to play the cheerleader. The cheerleader, because I didn't really see myself as that. We don't see ourselves as other people see us. But I went with it. I couldn't figure out for the longest time, why do people keep casting me as a cheerleader? I don't get it. We don't know how we're coming off to other people is the lesson there, I guess.
Sure. But as you mentioned, it did eventually wind up with you getting the part on Night of the Comet, and that was a cheerleader or part of the pep squad, but obviously that character was so much more a pretty badass character, I would say.
What a great part. I mean, Kathy Mary Stewart and I, we really, those parts were, I mean, whoever gets to do stuff like that, it was just made in heaven. And I don't think I even realized as a young actor just starting out that, I wasn't just starting out at that point. I've been working my butt off for a long time, but in the movie business and stuff, I didn't have the sophistication to realize that parts like that don't come along. I mean, I had the good fortune. First, I got this great character on a soap, and then I got that cheerleader, which turned out to be a standout part. And then Samantha, the good fortune to get to play those kind of characters. They're not written that often. And Kathy had a little bit more of an idea that, wow, this doesn't happen every day than I did in retrospect. I just thought, wow, what a great part. And I just threw my heart and soul into it. And I just, lived it. I breathed and slept it. And I just really, I don't know, something about her, that character. I try to be that committed to all of my characters, but for some reason, that whole concept of being, at the beginning of your life and the world has ended. There's not one thing you can do about it. I just really think it touched a chord in people, including me. And then because it was touching me, it touched other people too.
Sure. Well, yeah, speaking of that, I heard that your part in Night of the Comet actually went on to influence, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which obviously became a huge thing too.
That's so weird. I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard back in the day, and I saw that ad on a bus for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I went, that's me. They ripped me off. And then I didn't think about it anymore. And then it was later on, I never thought about it again, but later on, Joss Whedon said that I was an inspiration for that character. I mean, what an honor. And last week, somebody's writing a book about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and called me up and asked me for an interview. I thought, wow. You just never, that's the thing about being, living in a creative environment. And as I say that, anything can be a creative environment. It doesn't have to be art or theater or music. Anything can be creative. You do one thing and it has a ripple effect, and you don't even know what's gonna come from it.
Sure. And
it comes back and it really surprises you. So I just thought that was wild. And I also thought, as an actress who's always trying to get work, then how come he didn't offer me a guest spot on Buffy? I never got a call. What's up with that? I'm teasing.
Sure.
It was quite an honor.
Well, Kelly, I want to ask you about one of my favorite films, Chopping Mall. and your memories of working on that, and kind of we've had Jim Warnarski on the show before, and kind of that style of shooting a feature length film in such a short period of time. I don't know if you call it like maybe a guerrilla style or something like that.
Yeah, as you said that, I thought guerrilla. You just put your nose to the grindstone, put your head down, and move as fast as you can. And that's the feeling of it. It all turns into a blur. It was really fun. I mean, we had people who were veterans of doing this already. Barbara Crampton was on there. She had done Reanimator. And we all signed up. And Tony O'Dell, who'd done Karate Kid. We had all signed up to do a movie called Robot. That was pitched to us like, well, Robert Short's going to design the robots, and which he did. It sounded like we didn't know we were signing up to do Chopping Mall. Let's put it that way. We thought we were signing up to do kind of like not a Chopping Mall movie. How do I say that?
Sure.
And so then we did it, and we knew that some of it was we knew that it was tongue in cheek and everything. So we all started to get the idea, but then much to our surprise, they started to call it Killbots, and we were like, oh. And then when they came back with, oh, well, that's not Testing Mall, so we're going to call it Chopping Mall, we all went, oh, my God. Really? We're going to a movie called Chopping Mall now? No one gets chopped. But I think Roger Corman is very, very smart, and, the title is what sold it, and then people enjoyed it from there. But had he not named it something catchy, nobody ever would have seen it.
Well, I got to ask, you've kind of, I guess, become known as a scream queen over the years. Is that something you're comfortable with? And does that maybe typecast you or cause you any trouble when you're trying to kind of branch out?
Yeah, it has. When I was, my agent told me at the time that I was taking these, I was just trying to pay my rent, I would think, okay, I'll do this movie. Oh, maybe, it's not Gone with the Wind, but no one will ever see it, and I'm paying my bills. Well, little did I know, that's what I'd become known for. And everyone always told me, Kelly, just hold out and wait for, like a big movie or a TV series. Even then, TV series that didn't have the style that they do now. It was kind of like, oh, you do TV? I mean, when I first got out here, it was, oh, you were on soap operas? Like that wasn't really TV.
Right.
But there's a real snobbery in the industry, and at that time it was even worse. So, but then I wouldn't be who I am, I mean, I wouldn't be giving this interview if I hadn't done those movies, would I? Right?
Well, it's like you said, you never know what somebody might see you in and what resonates with them. You never know what people
are going to like, yeah, and you never know. I mean, you can have all the money in the world to shoot something, and the best director, and the best cast, and the best script. For some reason, it just doesn't gel, and you get a really forgettable movie that goes on the shelf, and you don't know why. And then other times, against all odds, you get something that really connects with people and they really like, and who are you to say what that's going to be? That's why it's such a surprise every time you do something. It's like going into a kitchen and without a recipe and cooking something up. You just see what you get sometimes. Sure. You really can't, it's not a formula. You can't predict it. That's, I guess I kind of started out by saying, you just do everything you can and put your passion into your work and see if something happens, career-wise to you. It's kind of the same thing I'm saying about, doing a movie and whether or not it comes together. You just, you have to, everything's got to just gel together, right place at the right time, kismet, I don't know what you want to call it, and that only happens if you're out there giving it your all.
Right.
No matter what it is. But as far as Scream Queens go, I wanted to be Bette Davis. And like I said, I wanted to do classical theater, and then my idea of being a movie star was to be Bette Davis. So, yeah, much to my surprise, the Scream Queen thing really, because people say, in the industry, oh, you know what, she's in a, you can't have too much horror on your resume, or people think, oh, no. And that has happened to friends of mine. So that is a real thing. It can hurt you. But at the same time, if you make horror your niche, that's a good thing. You can't worry about things hurting you or helping you, or you just got to do the best you can with what's in front of you. We don't always get to dictate every moment of our lives.
Right.
And sometimes maybe the universe puts you where it needs you the most. I don't know for sure about that, but yeah, as far as the Scream Queen things, when I think of Scream Queens, Jamie Lee Curtis, great scream queen. That's fantastic. Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, scream queens. But and then some of the other things where somebody's running around wearing a Band-Aid and screaming and getting an axe in the forehead. No, then that doesn't help you out. But you know what? It's good to be a queen of anything, right?
Sure. Do you feel like maybe that's kind of shifting, I guess? Because nowadays, with The Walking Dead, or I know you were even on True Blood, it seems like a lot of these kind of more horror-themed shows are really becoming popular.
Yes, an American Horror Story, and yes, I really do. I mean, people love it, and they're starting to... but even with all that, there's still kind of it's horror. I wouldn't actually say, though, that that's a misnomer that I'm a scream queen. I'm more of a final girl. I'm the one that lives at the end.
Yeah.
So I would call that more of a final girl. I don't really identify as scream queen, except for when it helps me get a job. Then I'm the first one at the door going, "I'll be a scream queen." But I don't get cast as the person that dies. So I would say final girl. But yes, I'm happy to be called a scream queen. Number one, it's a queen of something, and number two, anything anything that people it's all about brand. If people identify the brand, then they know who you are. But if you're too many things and they can't figure out what you are, then you don't leave an impression, or they don't know what to do with you, or it's always best to be very, very clear about who you are and what you're selling. And that's what was kind of weird about it for me, is it's kind of a misnomer. But I'll take it.
Well, is there anything you're working on right now, Kelli, or any upcoming projects?
Yes, I'm not allowed to say anything about this one particular thing, but I can tell you that I'm going to be in Indiana third week of June, I think. It's called Indie PopCon. It's going to be a big deal.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And Catherine Mary Stewart and I are the guests of honor. It's like a 3-day movie. It's a convention and then also a movie festival. And they do, and you'll have dinner with us, and then it's just a whole. I've never been there, but I hear it's really fun. So this will be my first time doing it.
Yeah, I remember I met you a few years back at the Crypticon here in Minnesota. So it sounds like...
I love that show.
Yeah, it sounds like something similar to that.
It is. I think it's on a... I did a movie in Indiana called Gila, the Giant Gila Monster. So I'm aware of this town, and it's a beautiful, picturesque little town. And they really, they're movie cinephiles. Yeah, I'd love to come back and do Crypticon again. It was fantastic. It was a smaller show when I was there, but I understand it's gotten so much bigger now.
Yeah, every year it seems like it's been growing, so it'd be cool to see it come back.
I'd love to, yeah. And then plus I still have some family that still lives around that area, too, so I get to visit my family, too.
Awesome. Again, Kelli, I really appreciate you taking the time out today. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, have a good one, and good luck with everything.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, you too.
All right, bye-bye.